right now. Alright, good afternoon everyone. Today is Wednesday, July 25th, 2012, and I am now going to go through everything that happened in the live trading room this morning. Let me start with the results. We are up 8 ticks on the ES. We're up 2 points there on the ES. We're up 13 ticks on the crude oil. Okay. We are up 5 ticks on the NASDAQ. And we are down a little on the YM. We're down 2 trades or 16 ticks on the YM. We are just missing a bunch of trades right here on the YM right now. As a matter of fact, if it pulls up here to 12,591 and gives us a down close, I'll short it here in the live trading room. I mean, in the recap. But let me slide this over to the side so I can watch it over there, and I'll go through the recap here on the crude first. Okay, let's start out with crude. We had crude inventories come out this morning, so we were a little bit cautious on the crude. You can see when the inventories came out right here at 10:30. From right here, this bar right here, all the way over to this bar. All those bars were 1 minute when the crude inventories came out. We came out with a bigger pile than anticipated on the crude. Okay, it was a bigger pile than anticipated on the crude, so, they were anticipating a small draw, and there ended up a surplus. Okay, they were anticipating a draw of 0.1 million barrels or 100,000, and they ended up with a surplus of 2.7 million. So that's a huge difference. Okay. That said, let me slide over here to the beginning of the morning. Right here, 9:41 was the first actual trade setup. Now the actual setup is this. Okay. We had a bearish cross right here, the MA1 crossed down below the BBC. Price pulled back up, tested the BBC, and gave a down close. At the same time, we had bearish divergence down here, suggesting we should have shorted right there. Okay, I missed that trade. I think I was in an NQ trade at the time, and I missed that. And you can see it went down. We had another one of those right over here. I took this short and I stopped out, and then it went down. Stopped me out to the tick and then it went down. That happened to me twice today. Anyway, as the day moved on, there was another one right here. We had bearish divergence, a test of the BBC with a down close, and that moved down. Then we had a bullish cross right here, a test of the BBC with an up close right here, and that one moved up. All right. Then it got into the 10:30 period, so I let it go for a little while because I didn't want to get involved with it. Now, when the crude inventories come out, the crude jumps all over the place, so I was just letting it go. All right. We had a bullish cross here, came down, tested the BBC. We had bullish divergence, and up it went. It did it again right here, but the cycle portion of the slingshot is moving down against it, so I wouldn't have taken that trade anyway. Over here, we had an opportunity to short. The cycle was going up a little bit, not too much, but I wasn't really focused on the crude at that time until we got back over here. Then I took a trade over here on the crude. All right, right in here. We had a bullish cross, tested the BBC. I wanted to give it some time after the crude inventories came out to work itself out. We had a bullish cross of the BBC, a test at the BBC, and we had bullish divergence. We've got an up close right there. I took that long, and that's what brought me back to break even. Okay. You can see I got in here and I got out up here. All right. Now the next opportunity on the crude, we're into the break right here. This is our break period, but there was one right here on the crude, right there. You see we had the bearish divergence. Test of the BBC. There's the bearish divergence. There's the bearish cross. There's the test of the BBC. There's the down close. And that went all the way down there. There were a couple more opportunities in that same period there. Okay. Had one right in there. Then while Dwayne was talking, we just had 5 more opportunities right here. Okay. And that was that. It's really not much to it, you know. That's all there is. All the 4-tick range charts, you're going to have the same set of indicators, and you're going to have the same exact trade setup. Okay. So let me jump over to a different one right now. All right. Let's look at the NASDAQ. Okay. On the NQ here, you can see we had a few trades that we took and a bunch of trades that we missed too. All right, now right here at the beginning of right at the open, we had bullish divergence right here, a bullish cross test to the BBC with an up close. So right there is where you would have been getting long. We did it again right here. I actually took this one and I messed up when I moved my stop up. I meant to move my stop to break even and I dropped it in the wrong place and it ended up taking me out plus 5 ticks, but you can see that one went up pretty strong. Then it had to reset down here. The cycle portion had to reset because it was overbought. In the reset, it did. Right here there was an opportunity. The cycle was in the middle. I didn't really like this one because it was in the middle. But it tested the BBC and it went up from right there. Okay. Then we had a bearish cross. Price moved down, came back up, tested the BBC. You see right here we had bearish divergence and down it went. Again right here. I took this short right here. We had bearish divergence, tested the BBC, and down it went. Alright. So I got plus 5 there. I think I got plus 14 on this one. What I was showing over here for the partners. Oh yeah, let me just mention that too while I'm here. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to www.cfrn.net/apply and you will get everything that you see here, plus 5 business days in our live trading room, 2 hours a day. And you get all the indicators, data feeds, charts, everything that you see here for 5 business days. Okay. If you are on the free trial and you want to become a partner, you should have an email in your inbox, at least one, probably 2 emails in your inbox from me. If you do not, send an email to support@cfrn.net, or you can just type in here that you're interested and you don't have the email yet. And we'll get back to you. All right, you need to be a partner to get into the partners meeting. Partners meeting tomorrow night, 9 p.m., as we do every Thursday night. All right, guys? Now, let's continue on. Over here, we had bearish divergence, bearish cross, bearish divergence, test to the BBC, and a down close. I took the short. It held right here at the MA1. It stopped me out right here. Now, my stop should have been up here at 44 1/4, but I moved it up for 2. I moved it up 2 ticks, thinking that if it got up above here, it was going to stop. It was going to keep going. Obviously, that was a mistake because it didn't make it to my original stop. It made it to the one that I adjusted, and then it went down. But anyway, that stopped me out for a couple of ticks. Put me down some on the NQ. What I was showing right here with this circle was when the green turned down into the direction of the strong slope cycle with the brown beneath the cycle. That was an opportunity to get in with a momentum trade right there. Okay. For those of you guys who are partners who know what I'm talking about, it's in a partners meeting from a couple weeks ago. Okay. All right. Let's see. Moving down, we had a bearish cross right here, tested the BBC. We had some bearish divergence right here, not a ton of it, but we had some bearish divergence. Again, the green turning down into the strong sloping cycle could have gotten you in up there too. So the entry on that would have been right up there. All right. Here we had bullish divergence, same thing in the opposite direction, moving up. Bearish divergence down, bearish divergence down, and again the green turning. The green turning would have put you in with a momentum trade right there for the move down. Okay. Over here. It moved up. I took this short trade right here. This one stopped me out as well. I think this one stopped me out for the full 8 ticks though. And then it went down. It went down pretty hard too. And I did follow the rules. Over here we had a bullish cross. Bullish cross test to the BBC with an up close. I missed that one again right here. Bullish cross test to the BBC with an up close. Right in here, we just had the bullish divergence. It didn't test the BBC in here. So it was still going up from this original one over here. It was still working its way up. All right. This is getting in almost to the break, but we had a bearish cross right here, tested the BBC with a down close right there, and the bearish divergence. Okay. There's the bearish divergence. There's the down close. And then during the break, we had these 3 opportunities on the way up, and this one on the way down. Okay. So you remember, I don't know if you remember on the crude, during the break. We had 5 opportunities. On the NQ, we had the same 5. All right. So if you wanted to do something that's, the crude is $10 a tick. The NQ is $5 a tick. You can see those are the crude trades right there. They're almost at the same time. These are the and these are the NQ trades. So this one was at 11.56. This one was at 12. This next one was at 11.59 or 12. And the next one over here was at 12.01. The third one here was at 12.02. The third one here, though this wasn't spectacular because the cycle portion was moving down, was at 12.07. Then on the downside was at 12.12, and over here was at 12.12. Over here the downside was at 12.16, and over here it was at 12.15. It's 12.15. So they were moving pretty much in sync today. Okay, the crude and the NQ. Here, let me put that back in there where I normally do, and I'll put the crude back here. Right here on the crude we have bearish divergence test of the BBC with a down close. Okay, so we expect the crude to go down from right here. I use both, Iris. I use both. Okay. Now the trades that I was taking here on the YM, I took off the 1500 contract. I'm going to get into that right now. If I had taken them all from the 4-tick range, my results would have been much better. Here's the YM 4-tick range, using the same exact setups that I just went over with the NQ and the crude. You can do the same thing on all the 4-tick range charts. All right, whether it's the 6E, the ES, the NQ, the crude, the YM, you can do the same things all over the place. Okay. You can see in here, if I had done this on the 4-tick range this morning on the YM, we had bullish divergence here, a test of the BBC with an up close, so there was a long right there. Nothing in there, nothing in there. A nice short trade right there, nothing in there. When I say nothing, it's because the cycle portion of the slingshot is moving up against the trade. All right, this isn't even taking into account the weekly trading zones, which I know we were near for most of the morning. Let's see, over here we tested the BBC, gave a down close, and we had some bearish divergence. It did drop down some before it pulled back up. I wouldn't have done this because the cycle's too far against it. Right in here, this is one of the things, again, the green turning down into the strong sloping cycle with the brown beneath it, so you could have gotten a momentum trade out of this way up here. All right, there was an opportunity to short right in here. Get long right in here. This was another one of those momentum trades. Right here, you could have gotten in there. And over here. That's why I had those circled. This was a regular trade here, pulled back to the BBC, gave a down close. I actually took this trade right here, and I got a break even on it. I missed this trade, this one, this one, this one, all the ones that you see that don't have yellow arrows on them. For one reason or another, I missed those trades. Okay. And then we get into our break period here. Now, during the break, you can see we had bearish divergence right here. Pull back and test to the BBC with a down close right there. All right, again right here. This one didn't really go anywhere, so it would have probably stopped me out. Unless I move my stop up to break even after 4 or 5 ticks. Right over here right now, we don't really have anything. The only thing we have is that the green is moving into the direction of the brown with a strong sloping cycle, though that's not really super strong sloping, but it would have put you in long right in there. Okay, that's a little bit of advanced stuff that you would find in the partners meetings in the members area. Okay, but you do have to become a partner to get into the partners meetings and be in the members area. Now the stuff that I was doing here, how I ended up with 2 losing trades on the YM, usually when the BBC is not right around the weekly trading zone like this, you can do things like over here yesterday when it was in the middle of this over here. If it pulls up and tests the BBC, I can usually put in a sell stop somewhere below the BBC. Like I would have put it below the low of this blue candle right here. I would have put a sell stop in right there, and when price comes down, if the BBC ends up holding and price is going to come down and bounce off the BBC, it'll usually go to the zone. Whether it's going up or down, they usually go to the next zone. So that sell stop would have gotten triggered in here, like at about 580, and then it would have dropped down to the zone at 525 for a 55 tick gain. Now I only risk about 8 ticks on these usually. Okay, so it's not that big of a deal when you lose a trade. This morning it was right around the weekly trading zone, and I tried to go long here when it was above the weekly trading zone. It had actually dropped down and tested the BBC below it, and I figured if it got back up above the zone, bouncing off the BBC, that the BBC was going to hold. It went back up and it triggered me in. I had a buy stop on right up here. It triggered me in, and then it went right back down and stopped me out. And then I said, okay, well, it looks like the weekly trading zone is going to hold, and when we got below the BBC, I was saying, okay, well, if it's going to pull back up into the BBC, like it did right in here. This is where it got below it. I said, if it's going to pull back up into the BBC and hit the zone, and the zone is going to hold it down, then I'm going to sell a pullback. I'm going to drop back down through the BBC. So I put a sell stop in right over here, and you can see it did eventually go in the right direction, the direction of my sell stop, but it came all the way back up into the zone and stopped me out. I only had 8 ticks risk on it. So I lost those 8 ticks on both of those trades. That's how I ended up losing on the YM. Okay. If I had a bigger stop, I would have needed at least a 15 to 20 tick stop on the sell stop that I had on over here, because it pulled back, I think, 13 ticks into the weekly trading zone before it dropped down. I was selling 613 is what I was selling, and it went from 613 down to 568. So that's what? 32, 45 ticks it would have made. That was my morning on the YM. Okay, so I think I covered all the markets, didn't I? Did I do the ES yet? I guess I didn't do the ES, did I? 12:37. All right, I'm making okay time. On the ES this morning, this was where it opened. Where did it open up? It opened up right here. Okay. It had already had the trade triggered by the time the market opened up, so I didn't jump into it right here at the open. Okay, this is the ES 10,000 contract. So I didn't jump into the trade right at the open because it had triggered in the pre-market. It went up, and it would have satisfied the 2-point target had you had a 2-point target on the trade, but it did not make a higher swing, so I wasn't interested in buying when it pulled back down right over here. Okay. And thankfully, because when it pulled back down over here, it just kept going down. Right in here, where it pulled back after the bearish cross, it pulled back up and tested the BBC. I didn't sell there because we were right on a news event. Okay, we're right on a high-impact news event, so I didn't sell right there. Okay. I did sell after the news event and the market started moving down. Right in here where it pulled back, I said, okay, well, I'm going to short it right here, and I expect it's going to work its way down to the weekly trading zone down here at 1328. Okay, I didn't think it would go directly down there, but I thought it would go down there. So I shorted right there, and then we were just waiting. It was just a waiting game after that. I had drawn, when the market was live, I had drawn in all these trend lines in here where I was waiting for price to get down below the trend lines and not get above these trend lines and all that sort of stuff. It did get down there, and I moved my stop to plus 1 point when it was down at, it actually went plus 2 points, and I moved my stop to plus 1 point, and it came back and got me out at plus 1 point. It did put in a lower swing, so I entered again when it pulled back over here. Okay, I entered it again when it pulled back here, and again I got out at plus 1 point. All right, I moved my stop to break even after it was up quite a bit, and it went the full way down to the weekly trading zone down here, down to 1128. All right, after it bounced off the zone, it started to move back up, and this right here, we're pretty close to the end of the morning session, so I didn't put a trade on in here, but the actual trade to put on here would have been the pullback down to the BBC right here, and you see, you would have had to sweat that trade out for quite some time before it actually made the 2 points, but it did actually make the 2 points right over here. Okay. It took a half an hour or so, a little better than a half an hour for that trade to work out. And that was it. That was it on the ES. All right. Now, if we were to look at the ES 4-tick range because someone had mentioned this morning that they had taken some trades on the ES4 tick range. So let me just bring that up really quickly. I'll blow it up and we can look at it. On here somewhere I had drawn on the opportunities that there were. You trade all the 4 tick ranges the same way. Okay, same set of indicators, same divergences, same stuff. You're trading it all the same way. Okay. Let's see. There's no divergence there. In here was a long. And it's gotten pretty sideways in here right now. But that was it. That was the morning. 1, 2, 3, 4 opportunities here on the ES4 tick range. Okay. And they all win. That one was good for 2 points. That's good for 2 points. That's good for 2 points. That one, it looks like it was good. This would have been a long from 1330. So, yeah, it would have made the 2 points. All right. So 2, 4, 6 points possible there on the ES4 tick range, using the same exact setup, same indicators, same everything as all the other 4 tick ranges. Okay. And that, my friends, is pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions about any of this stuff? If you do, let me know. If not, I'm going to stop my recording right here.